Hello, today I'm going to be reviewing this Teamson Kids Little Chef Paris Play Kitchen. We got this 2 years ago after we moved into this house for my daughter, who was 2.5 at the time. She's now 4.5, and she absolutely loves this kitchen. So I'll go over the pros and cons, as well as some secret tips that we've learned from having this. And so, just to give a quick overview, here you have a sink section with some cupboards underneath. Now, the first thing that I do point out here is the storage was really great, but it was really tough to get my daughter to realize that these are sharp, and so she needs to close the door. So I'm still constantly telling her when I see them open, I'm telling her to close the drawer when she's not using it, because that is kind of one of the biggest cons of this set is some of the corners are sharp. So I have a little table here and it's rounded, and I feel like that's a lot safer than this with a pretty sharp edge, this with a sharp edge, and you can see here this has a sharp edge. So because this stove section had the sharp corners, like this is a really sharp corner, it hurts to push on. That's why I put that in the center, because this is somewhat rounded. This is pretty tall, but it's also somewhat rounded. This is not at all rounded, so that's probably the biggest con of this set is the corners. So if that's an issue for you, that is the worst thing about this. Everything else is great. I will show some other things. As you could tell, this gets used a lot. She colors on it, she paints, she messes it. So it is something, because it's white, it is susceptible to getting dirty, and you just kind of have to either clean it or put down some primer or something like that, something that will protect it, or just know that you're gonna have to deal with that. So the sink is nice. She uses it a lot for her stuff when she's cooking for us. And I would say one of the nice secret tips is to get a table and chair set, because then your kid can play cook or chef or restaurant, and you can just sit there and they can do all the stuff for you, so you can let their imaginations run wild with that game. The storage is great because, like I said, you have this little section under here under the sink, but then you also have this oven which opens up, and you can see she has a little rack here, and she stores her donuts and ice cream and all of her other food in here. So we have a little bin for that. This does make a clicking noise, and it is quite loud. She doesn't turn this too much, so that's nice. But if you're sensitive to noise, this is something that is very loud and somewhat annoying. And then finally, moving on, here we have the fridge section. It's flat up here. She usually puts stuff up here. You have a fridge with an ice maker, and it actually does work. So you can press this back and you can put it comes with some ice cubes. I don't know where she put them. They're kind of lost now. They're somewhere in the mess, but it goes in there and it can actually come out, so that's really nice. As you can see, there's a pretty decent amount of storage here as well. So she's got her ice cream in the fridge instead of the freezer, it looks like. And then finally, underneath you have a final bit of storage. Those little holes are for mounting it to the wall. We didn't want to do that because we've actually moved this to different spots in the room 3 times since we've lived here. So I didn't feel it was needed to mount it to the wall, but it does come with the hardware to do that. Having said that, talking about setting up, this comes as a bunch of little pieces, and you do have to construct it. So everything here is something that you have to assemble. You can see here there are still the stickers from the part numbers, and the instructions were pretty good. My wife and I put this together in about an hour, which, considering how big it is I think pretty good. The instructions were pretty clear, and it's obvious what you're building. Nothing is super big, so you know you're doing this section, then this section, then this section. So it's really easy to follow along. It is really easy with 2 people helping, and yeah, that was an easy process. Now, one thing I'll point out too is, because it's a plain white kitchen set, it does open itself to customization. So as you can see, we added some hooks here. She put a little flower on that. She hangs other things on here. But you can also let them go crazy with stickers and drawings as we did, or you could paint it yourself and just customize this because it is white. So really good in that regard. There's one last thing I forgot to show, and that is that the faucets, they do turn. Obviously nothing comes out because that's closed off, but it's really great play set. The attention to detail is really nice. My daughter loves playing different games. This is really good for when she has friends or cousins or whatever over. They can play a game of cook or chef or restaurant or whatever, and they have a lot of fun with it. It does let them run with their imagination. The only thing I would say that is another negative besides this corner is how large it is. That can be a pro or a con depending on how much space you have. So she has quite a bit of space for the table, the sink, the stove, and the fridge. So she has enough room. Usually what I do is I put little boxes here with her food. I've moved it for this video, and then we put taller things here so she doesn't go in that space. That's like storage for her kitchen and stuff like that. But it does take quite a bit of space, so make sure you have the space. These are each, I think, about 2 feet wide. I don't know the exact dimensions, and I'm not very good at estimating, but this is probably about 6 feet of space in total. So you need a pretty decent footprint. It's about 1.5 to 2 feet deep as well. So make sure you have the space for it. But other than that, it's a really great thing. It's a good opportunity if you have the food sets and all the different things to teach them about cleaning up and letting their imagination run wild. So overall, I think this is a great purchase, and I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you for watching.